Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. I want to thank you so much for your patience as well. I had some road work done recently. I haven't been able to do a lot of videos, but we'll go ahead and cover as much as we can here today, of course. And sushi is one of our swing trades in our community, so we want to find out if it's going to get bounce back or what the deal is, right? So ultimately, that's my goal is to help you understand what that looks like. Maybe give you some profit targets, and more importantly, dollar cost average targets too, if we were to see the price come back down, which is potential based on Bitcoin kind of misbehaving, right? So before we get in here, just want to let you know I'm not a financial advisor. Right? I just love teaching people how to trade. I do this every day for work, and I just truly love my job here. So if you want to learn more, I've got a trading community with the Trading Academy rolling out month in, where I show you how to be a better trader step by step, and it's an awesome experience. But for now, learn as much as you can from the videos, watch as many of my other videos as you can. I think I can link some videos up above as well for training, with the indicators that I use, so you know how to set it up and follow along. But for now, see what you can learn. Now, looking here at sushi, of course, we want to go ahead and look at the obvious. We're up over the 50-day simple moving average right now, which is fantastic. That's a really good sign. It ultimately helps us understand we're on the right side of the tracks there in that sense. Well, the worst is behind us tentatively in that regard, right? The thing we need to understand, of course, is the elephant in the room. Sushi's aligned itself with Bitcoin here recently since the major sell-off, and that does cause a lot of synonymous behavior. So, Bitcoin bounces up and has a nice green day, then Sushi will as well, right? But keep in mind, Sushi is still very oversold. So we got to understand that too, in that sense, where the likelihood of Sushi bouncing back harder than Bitcoin is higher, okay? That being said, we're under 50 on the RSI, not a great sign. That does kind of reiterate the fact that we have a strong resistance at 752. We can see that on the charts. We've got a potential MACD convergence in the next few days. We'll pay attention to that. But for now, I would say mostly positive on the macro here, right? Once again, 50-day simple moving average is important, being above that. We're also above the 50 on the 4-hour chart too. That's a good sign, but under the 200 as well. I'd feel better about being over the 50 than the 200, but generally speaking, the 50 should essentially work as support and push the price action higher. Okay, so that's kind of almost an inevitability. We are up over 50 on the RSI on the midterm here, the 4-hour, which is fantastic. We like to see that. That really helps us understand that we are transitioning from bearish to bullish, and that could effectively push the price action higher and break this resistance zone of 752, right? So keep that in mind. That's kind of a positive here. Also looking at the MACD, it's kind of breaking even, so to speak, so not really a big concern there. It just means that we don't have any major bullish or bearish type of scenarios here, but we can see this trend that this basically hit the bottom 3 or 4 times here. So 646 is likely the lowest point which the price will go, at least on the midterm. That is the lowest it's wanting to go in the past 2 weeks of trading. Okay, and bear in mind that the last 2 weeks of trading, I forgot to look at this here, we've got a decent downtrend. And when I say decent, I mean like we came all the way down to a 9. So we literally had like 11 red days in a row for sushi. So not the greatest, but again, that's very similar with Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a very strong sell-off over the past 2 weeks, and hasn't done very well. And keep in mind too, sushi actually was overextended going into this sell-off also. So you understand that it kind of creates a hypersensitivity, so to speak, where the price kind of comes down a lot harder than it should because it was overextended in the first place. So look at this here. We went up to a 9. Then 3 or 4 days later, price continued to digress, and now we're down to a 9 here as well. So with us being at a 4 right now, I'm not super excited about that. It doesn't mean we're just going to see 5 days of bullish momentum. It just implies that we're probably going to get a reset again, and once sushi starts to take off, we're going to be in good shape. Because you got to keep in mind too here, if we were to go to the 1 week, we are seeing higher highs and higher lows still. Okay. Now I know it's a bit of a stretch if you were to consider that, but this is a higher low, and that is a higher high. So hypothetically, this next push, if it can get higher than $10, we're going to be in really good shape. Okay. And when I say next push, it's probably going to take 2 or 3 weeks to get there. Okay. I'm just being realistic here in a rough estimate sense. I think that's essentially what we're looking at. All right, so going back to the 4-hour, let's go ahead and pick up where we left off there. The Ishimoku cloud, not the right indicator. We're looking at TD sequential. TD sequential is really at a 5. So ultimately, we're looking at a potential, I would say we might see another half a day or a day's worth of continuation of the upside. Bear in mind, weekends are generally greener than weekdays. So, we could see a bit of a recovery, but I wouldn't expect anything dramatic for sushi in the near future. We really just kind of got to let Bitcoin figure itself out. Honestly, once Bitcoin breaks 46,000, that's key level resistance, then we're going to see coins like sushi take off. That's just the inevitability. But to me, how much lower can sushi go? Well, I mean, truth be told, it went down as low as $4.34 recently. So if you're in a swing trade position right now, which a lot of us are because our community members, we opened a swing trade, I think somewhere in the range of $8 to $9. Now, being in the $7 range right now, I would just say add to your position because the likelihood of it going much lower is fairly low. Keep in mind, it can still go lower, right? We've seen Sushi do that, but you can tell it's kind of reaching its bottom, and heaven forbid we were to lose that bottom. The next most relevant bottom is right here, right around $5. Okay, so if you want to kind of be patient and wait it out, I wouldn't fault you for that. But if you want to add a little bit to your position, feel free to do so as well, because this isn't a bad value, right? Sushi, I still feel very confident Sushi will exceed $12. That's the reason why we have a profit target just underneath the major Fibonacci retracement level of 1244 at 1225. Okay, so you got to understand the likelihood of hitting that, I think, is still very high, and then some. It's just a matter of the fact that Bitcoin sold off recently, and unfortunately, right as soon as Bitcoin sold off, Sushi was at its highest point. That kind of was a recipe for disaster, caused the price to come down. So just note that. Let's take a look at the 1 hour and call today here. Taking a look at the 1 hour, we can see that on the Ichimoku cloud, we are technically above the cloud, above the conversion line, or at least the conversion is above the baseline, and the lagging span is free and clear of in-price action. So technically, we do have a buy signal here from the cloud. Just bear in mind, this is a very tentative buy signal. It's not a very strong buy signal, okay? So what I mean by that is that typically you want to couple that with a MACD convergence on the 4 hour chart. And we don't really have much going on here. Yes, the price did converge kind of, if you want to stretch your imagination yesterday, but that's not really a massive, increase, so to speak. So to me, this isn't like the strongest, indication you can get from the cloud, but it is still an indication that we could and likely should see the price continue to progress upwards from here. Okay. Again, this is a conservative indication. Feel free to take a position here, so to speak, but I wouldn't expect rainbows, for lack of better terms. It's not going to shoot to the moon, and I don't think that we're going to see any massive increase from Sushi in the near future, but this is definitely a positive step in the right direction. Okay. We're above key level supports, and all we need to do is break 752 if I recall, and we're going to be in really good shape to break that 50 on the RSI in the 4 hour. That's extremely important to get that transition. Okay. So all in all, very good stuff here. I don't see anything really adverse for Sushi. It's just not like a profound, buy signal. It's a good consideration for dollar cost average. And once again, helpful understanding here too. I get this question a lot. How much should I dollar cost average? My rule of thumb is 5 to 10% per entry. In other words, what I have total in my portfolio or just available funds, USDT, for example, I use 5 to 10% of that. And keep in mind, you always want to keep something aside for later. So do not by any means, if this is your only 5 to 10% you have left in your portfolio, put it on Sushi right now. It may not be the best bet unless this is your long-term picture, right? This is a coin you want to work with. But the reason why you have diversification, percentages is to ensure that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. Okay, and if you are using all of your USDT, then you're essentially doing that exact same thing. Okay, so just some friendly advice. Use your funds sparingly at this point because we don't have confirmation of the market just yet. Bitcoin could very well drop its bottom. We still have a short position open as a community, and I confidently can tell you that the likelihood of it going down, I think, is higher than it is going up at this specific time. This weekend, we might see an increase from Bitcoin. It's going to be, a false alarm, though, in my personal opinion. Wait for Monday, see what happens, and we'll go from there. All right, well, I hope you found benefit here and, of course, learned a thing or two. I hope you have a good rest of your day. If you're not currently a member, consider joining. We are transitioning to a website platform month end with available options for the Trading Academy. Going to be awesome stuff. Looking forward to rolling that out and getting you what you need here as better, more profitable traders. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.